Good afternoon, sports fans, once again, and welcome back to the Raven Slayers Hour podcast. So I know I discussed this topic yesterday. I know for a fact I did not do the topic justice. So, I'm definitely going to go and re-explore over everything and have further discussions as far as what needs to happen, what moves need to happen in the offseason for each team to be able to make to make available space. That way they can make the moves in the offseason that they need to make in order to improve their team overall. So I know I started yesterday with the Saints, so that's exactly where we're going to get started on this video and on this stream. So, without further ado, I know I had mentioned Derek Carr's contract with the Saints weighing them down very heavily. So, and as you all can obviously tell, I'm actually pulling up the actual contract this time and breaking it down. So, Derek Carr is making far too much money right now. Derek Carr is not the answer at quarterback with the Saints. They need to renegotiate his contract in order to have them anywhere closer to the actual needed salary to make the actual salary cap and be able to start getting them closer towards having some actual money for the offseason. I know a big thing I was mentioning yesterday was definitely letting some of the guys who are on expiring contracts walk. Definitely some of the bigger contracts on some guys you want to have walk because of underperformance from the year. But at the same time, those guys that you know are cornerstones on your team, you need to make sure that you're making a little bit more space for them to be able to actually re-sign them to the bigger contracts. This one in particular with Derek Carr, he does not... He's not worth the money that he's receiving from the Saints right now. I know it's saying free agent. I don't know if there's been any recent moves on Derek Carr, if they decided to cut him, if they decided to keep him. But yeah, he's under... See, here's into his second year of this 4-year contract of $150 million. If they want to keep him as a backup or keep him as your starter... If they want to keep him there, I mean, definitely renegotiation is what is needed. Because more than anything, Derek Carr is not worth $150 million. He is receiving. He's set to get $51.45 million this year. And for a glorified backup quarterback, he shouldn't be making anywhere close to that $51 million this entire year. So, definitely first move I would make if I was the Saints is cutting down Derek Carr's contract and renegotiating with him. Secondary move I would make, because I know, again, you have all these bigger contracts on all these older guys. Second move I would honestly make this Taysom Hill contract. Taysom Hill, even though he is a dual threat guy, you got him available for quarterback. He's more of a tight end. He's not worth it. He's on his last year of his contract. I would make one of two moves: either cut him and cut your losses. More than anything, he's not worth it. I'm sorry. When Sean Payton was there, he knew how to utilize Taysom Hill very well. Unfortunately, with where Taysom Hill's at right now, he is not good enough to keep on this roster. So, honestly, I'm letting Taysom Hill walk, cutting him from my roster, and saving myself, that $18 million that he was he was getting this year, guaranteed to at least get the 10.25. But again, you cut him. You have more guaranteed money coming back to you. Really, more than anything, it's only saving you about $1 million because, it's a $17 million dead cap hit that you're taking, but still at least saving $1 million there. unfortunately, my dad is not going to be able to join us on this one. Bronco, he will not be able to join us. He called in, just got called into work to go be a driver. Anywho, moving on from that, again, one of the main things that I absolutely hate about the Saints roster is the amount of older guys they have on it. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, are past their prime. Honestly, I don't know. I don't like the idea of you paying $1.455 million to a long snapper. I don't like that idea. What other moves can be made? I mean, Jamal Williams, he's okay. He's not the best. He's a very serviceable back, but more around like a second to third down. More than anything, a third down back. Without a doubt, he's a third down back, but he doesn't make. He's more of a third down back. So I mean, really, I don't like the idea of paying him the $3.15 million. Unfortunately, as everybody knows, running backs are very much so expendable every single year. Unlike Saquon Barkley, who I honestly think he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's not gonna. He might regress. Who knows? But time will tell with him. But as a 30-year-old, he's going to be a 30-year-old running back coming into this year, making $3.93 million guaranteed this year. So, and I mean next year they're losing him to free agency. So I don't see them re-signing him. I see them more moving on from him this year. Possibly trading him elsewhere, possibly just letting him play out this year and not re-signing him next year. There's a million different ways the Saints can go, but more than anything, if I were the Saints, if I were the GM of the Saints, I'm letting him play out the rest of his year and not re-signing him. Other ways that they can save. I don't know. Demario Davis is a fairly serviceable linebacker for him, so I don't know. I mean, Demario Davis, he can definitely play out his contract. I mean, Demario, he's currently on the last year of his 2-year deal, so I'm just letting him play through that deal and seeing what he wants to do going forward. He's 36 years old. He ain't getting any younger. He isn't really showing huge improvements. So, here, let me look up Demario Davis now that I think about it. Just look up his stats overall. So I'm just going to go straight to ESPN because this is the best way to really even look at it. So he played all 16 games, recorded 136 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception. He's gone down ever since. Being starting on the Saints. Used to get at least up to he improved in 22 and 23, getting those 2 6.5 sacks a year. But he's unfortunately, I'm sad to say it, he ain't getting any younger. So I don't know how long he's gonna stay. I don't know if he stays for a full year. I don't know if he decides at the end of this year is going to be his last, but time will tell with him. Ben DiNucci as a backup quarterback, Ben DiNucci's an okay quarterback. He showed that he had some level of ability to play when he was out in Dallas. However, I'm not paying my backup quarterback $1.03 million. Sure, he has experience, but that's just not worth it. Other expiring deals. Tona. I'm not going to pronounce the last name properly, but I'm just going to refer to him by his first name so I don't butcher it. Tano, unfortunately, he is on the last year of his deal, or you could view it as fortunately he's on the last year of his deal. This is his. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent this year, saving them. Honestly, saving him a little bit of money. So He's going to definitely have to walk since they are currently far over far over cap right now. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys that you have that are on expiring deals are going to be, dead cap hits. They're unfortunately going to be having to walk away from the team because the team, they can't re-sign a lot of these guys. Juwan Johnson at tight end. Is he even a tight end? I could be incorrect. Juwan Johnson. I could have sworn he was a left tackle. No, he is a tight end. All right, so that's my correction there. Juwan Johnson. I'm thinking about it. Should probably look at his stats before I even make an argument about him. That doesn't help. 2 seconds. All right, so Juwan Johnson's his entire career has been with the Saints. He got drafted. I think he got drafted there. Yeah, he got drafted there. He's currently just had an extension here in the 22 to 24 season. He's on his last year of his 2-year deal. So, unfortunately, he's going to be another one that they're going to have to let him walk in free agency since they cannot re-sign him. Chase Young, another one. He's a great defensive end, especially for the Saints. Just finished off his 1-year deal, the $13 million. Chase Young, honestly, I could see him moving away from the Saints is going to be more of a blessing for him. I see him going to a team that is absolutely needing a defensive end. Cincinnati, if you're watching this, Chase Young, replace Sam Hubbard, please. Anywho, that's just me. Other than Chase Young, Cesar Ruiz he's a great guard out there. He deserves the money he's receiving. Or is he on his last year? Hold on, let me double check this. No, he's on his 3rd year of his rookie contract. So it's unfortunate with him being so far over cap. It's unfortunately going to be a discussion here in the next 2 years with them on if they're going to make the available cap space to be able to re-sign this young man. And I say young because I was born in 96. But, more than anything, it's just going to be a conversation here within the next year or two to really have a full discussion on if they can re-sign this young man. Honestly, if I'm the Saints, I'm cutting as much dead weight as I can just to be able to keep Cesar Ruiz around. He's a great guard, very serviceable guard. You want to keep him around, keep him in your organization, because without him, without a good guard or guard or tackle, your team's pretty much done for. See here, Spencer Rattler's on their team. On his rookie contract, I don't really justify even looking at moving him. He will, honestly, Spencer Rattler, I can definitely see him being the starting back there, or the starting quarterback there for time and for years, more than anything with him learning behind Derek Carr and developing his game to where he can be better than Derek Carr. That would help him tremendously, but ultimately hurting Derek Carr more. Let's see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I don't even know if they had him under contract. I don't know why he's there. I mean, he's not good enough to be on any roster anyway. Who else? Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's still on his rookie deal. He's going into his second year of his rookie deal. I haven't really seen him play much. Haven't really seen his stats, so why not? Why not look together? Let's take a look to see what ESPN has to say about this guy. 42 tackles this season. Nothing. I mean, more than anything, he's a great guy. He's a great guy when it comes to tackling. And as well, I mean, six pass deflections this entire year. I don't know as far as what, how many games he played this year, how many defensive snaps he actually had, but him, Kool-Aid McKinstry definitely is going to be a corner for the Saints that is going to last for years and years. So, well, he'll be a great corner for years and years, is what I should have said. But yeah, he's a great player, honestly. A lot of the things that's hurting the Saints too is their dead money cap, because they've cut a lot of guys off of here, a lot of these guys, and it costs them money. I mean, the Michael Thomas contract, $10 million for a 1-year contract. It's hurting him more than anything. So, I don't know. I'm not huge. This is the main thing that's hurting the Saints right now. All of this dead cap, all this dead money cap. Losing Marshawn Lattimore to that trade, losing Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, by the way, he's going to be going to a good team. It'd be funny to see him going back up Patrick Mahomes because of the the interviews that he had at the Super Bowl. But that'd be funny. By all means, that'd be hilarious. But yeah, the Michael Thomas contract and the Marshawn Lattimore contracts, as far as their dead money cap, it is hurting them. So, well, that's just me. I mean, definitely Derek Carr's contract needs to be restructured. He needs to be making less money, because more than anything, in 2 years' time, I see him become half of the year. I give it half the year before he becomes a backup quarterback. Moving on from the Saints, since we did spend a lot of time talking about contracts with the Saints, things that need to happen with the Saints, on to another dysfunctional franchise in the Cleveland Browns. Man, there's a lot of moves they need to make too. They're currently the second worst cap space available. Currently, almost $30 million over the cap. Luckily, they're not as bad as the Saints. The Saints, I mean, $60 million over the cap for the Saints. I do not understand. I don't know if anybody understands that, but it is what it is. I mean, Dustin Hopkins, I haven't really sat and looked at Dustin Hopkins' numbers this year, how many he's missed, how many he's made. But definitely searching this up might help too. Goodness gracious. All right, Dustin Hopkins went 18 for 27 on field goals. It's a 66.7% field goal percentage. 17 for 20 on extra points. Me personally, if you're missing extra points in the NFL, you do not deserve to be a kicker. But yeah, I mean, 66.7% field goal percentage is just not good. Again, you're majorly paying this player to put the ball in the uprights. That's one of their smaller contracts. So again, I don't know if the Browns are going to go ahead and move on from him this year. He's currently 2 years into his 3-year contract with them. I don't know why in the world they would give him a 3-year contract extension, but it's the Browns. They're dysfunctional. I'll cut them some slack, just a little bit, not a whole lot, just a little bit. Let's see here. Joel Bitonio. Oh, he's on his last year of his contract. I wouldn't be shocked if Joel Bitonio is one of the many guys that is going to be looked at to be moved on from this year, possibly traded elsewhere. He might even request a trade elsewhere. I would not be shocked by that, honestly. But it's one of those guys that you might want to look into. I mean, he's 34 years old this next upcoming year in October, so it's kind of one of those where it's a pick and choose type of situation. Do we keep him? Do we not keep him? Do we trade him? Do we let him walk in the offseason? Do we let him play out the season? It's a whole bunch of questions out there. If you give me one brief moment here, I completely forgot to post about it on this wonderful app. Just give me one brief moment here. I don't know why it only lets you post this stuff to I don't know why in the world it does it to where you can only really post about this to, Twitter. Just want to make sure that this is getting out to my friends and family on Facebook because my apologies, everybody. Just want to make sure I got that post out there. Anywho, moving on. Not from the actual Browns themselves, but moving on from that guy. Moving on from Joel Bitonio. Man, I mean, Jameis Winston's contract, right? Him being right there. Him, I mean, definitely having some dead cap there, hurting them more than anything. He's still owed his money that he was promised. I know I got frustrated about this one. I'm a Bengals fan. I feel bad for my fellow team in Ohio because they deserve. I mean, I'm not trying to be nice to them, but honestly, the amount of years that the Browns have had where they've just gone through nothing but sadness and depression, and getting that good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, seeing the improvements the team made. The team almost made it to what was it? They made it to the NFC or the AFC Championship game, and then got their hearts broken by the freaking the Chiefs. And then, of course, Baker left. They get Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson does some bad things in the offseason, and now he's playing like absolute Duke. Injury prone as hell. If I'm a Browns fan, if I'm a Browns GM or in that front office or what have you, I'm having a discussion with Deshaun Watson this offseason to restructure his contract. Currently, he's costing the team each year, for the next 2 years, he's going to be costing this team $72 million. I'm having that discussion with him, saying, "Listen, we need to make some moves, get ourselves back under the back under cap. You're currently costing us far too much money. We need to restructure this contract because the $72 million for a guy who you're only going to have for, say, 6 or 7 very, very shitty games." It's not worth the $72 million that you're giving this guy each and every year. So I'm honestly talking to him about restructuring his contract. Because if you can go and save yourself at least $30 to $40 million a year, that will help out your cap situation. I know I mentioned even prior, they're currently $27 million over cap. You restructure that contract with Deshaun Watson and save yourself, $30 to $40 million. You're at least getting yourself 10 to 15 million back to be able to play with in the offseason to improve the team. Myles Garrett, as everybody knows, he has requested a trade from the Browns after his rookie extension that he received, the rookie contract extension he received. He's going to, if they do agree on a trade for him getting out of there, he's going to be costing him a decent amount of money. They give him a whole lot of guaranteed money too, so he's going to cost him a lot of money. So it just majorly is going to be down to if they're going to accept some sort of trade for him. Honestly, I would accept his wishes and try and get a good trade going with another team to where, again, Myles Garrett can win and win now. Other than him, David Njoku, he's currently on his franchise tag. I honestly, more than anything, since they just franchise tagged the franchise tag extension, he's on that last year of the extension. Let him play on the. It's tough to say. Do you let him play on the franchise tag, or do you instead utilize that franchise tag on a different player, and then let him, let Njoku walk and go to another team? It's a tough decision to make. More than anything, being a fan of sports, Njoku deserves to go elsewhere. It'll help save the Browns a decent amount of money. A decent amount, not a whole lot, but a decent amount. But it helps them out overall with not having to spend as much money on a tight end, who most likely, more than anything, if he doesn't, it could be something that he could say, you know what, I don't want to play. I'm going to just sit here. You guys go ahead and play. A lot of people do that. And Njoku, from what I can tell, he's not one of them players. But, again, begs to differ to see. I've seen it happen a lot since really exploring the numbers, really exploring everything that's going on. So we'll have to see. What happens with Njoku if he plays on the tag, or if he requests a trade out of there, or what have you. Judy with his contract extension. I don't know about him. Jerry Jeudy is kind of an up and down player, very much like a roller coaster. Kind of like how the Hard Knocks. The Hard Knocks with the Dolphins, where they were talking to Vernon Davis. The Dolphins, when they were trading him away to the Colts, they were talking about, he was a very, up and down player. He's like, these waves, we need to get those waves a little bit smaller. That way he could be a fully improved player. So Jerry Jeudy, I'm very much so not sold on him being the number one receiver out there in Cleveland. So we'll just see what happens. More than anything up to this time. I mean, other than that, I mean, the number one thing I will continue to harp on, because a lot of these teams have quarterbacks that are not the answer, especially Cleveland. Cleveland has no answer at quarterback. If their answer is going to say, "Well, Deshaun Watson's going to shave off," Deshaun Watson's going to get all that rust off of him from when he wasn't playing, and he's going to be the number one quarterback here. He's going to keep playing for us and make us a crap ton of money from ticket sales and blah, 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 blah. No, he's not. He's not going to do that. Deshaun Watson, 30 years old. He's obviously past his prime. He was in his prime when he was in Houston. So, I mean, honestly, they were insane to give him the contract that he was given, and they're ultimately stuck with his contract. But again, I'm one of the people who believes and knows that they should restructure that contract. Moving back over to Seattle now, because I'm done ranting about the Browns, and feels like I'm beating up on them a little bit, but yeah, done talking about them. So with Seattle, it's kind of a more difficult situation. 29th worst 29th ranked in the total cap space available, $11.3 million over the cap limit right now. A lot of these expiring contracts are going to be ones that they're going to look at furiously to see who they can cut, where money can be saved, and kind of cut their losses. I mean, honestly, more than anything, I haven't really seen Nwosu play all that much more than recent. He got his contract extension, costing the team a decent amount of money. Hold on, let me take a look here at his numbers. Luckily, we're all looking at this the same way, so that that way we're all all under the same understanding there. There we go. There's his stats. Let's take a look here. See what ESPN has to say about the wonderful, wonderful linebacker out in Seattle. Finished off the regular season with eight tackles, 8 solo tackles, 1 sack. Only had a total of 14 tackles this year. This is one that they should definitely look at too, honestly. I mean, if he's going to have a resurgence this next year, so I'm letting him kind of play through it. Letting him play through half the year. And after half the year of him, playing, if he does enough to warrant keeping him, definitely keep him. If he doesn't do enough to warrant you keeping him around for the long term, that's when you want to look at possible contract renegotiation. Because, I mean, he's currently costing the team this year $21.2 million, going to cost him $18 million next year, and then after that he'll be gone in free agency. So this one definitely is one that you want to look at for possible contract renegotiation. Getting, even though Uchenna will be making a little bit less money, he's still costing the team a shit ton of money and not producing not producing enough to warrant him getting that amount of money. See here. I mean, Noah Fant, that's another difficult discussion to have. He's on his last year of his 2-year deal, costing the team $21 million, currently costing them $13.5 million this year. And Noah Fant, statistically this year, I mean, he did decent. as a tight end. These are good, decent tight end numbers. They're not the best, but they're decent. 48 receptions, 500 yards, 1 touchdown. So I don't know, man. It's difficult to say with Noah Fant. A lot of people say that he's more of a blocking tight end. Um, Honestly, I feel that your tight end needs to be both. Needs to be a good blocking tight end on the run, on those run plays, but needs to be an effective catch passer when he's out there running routes. So more than anything, Noah Fant. I honestly see Seattle just letting Noah Fant play out the rest of this year, and then moving on from him in the offseason. Zach Charbonnet. I don't know. Zach Charbonnet's a decent running back. Decent guy to keep there. They really don't have a lot that is really weighing them down in dead cap money this next year. A lot of their guys that are, that have been cut. I mean, the worst out of them all is costing them $138,000. So they don't really have anybody weighing them down in that dead cap money area. It's just more of these larger overall contracts up here. I mean, DK deserves the money he's receiving. See here. I mean, the one that really sticks out to me right now, especially since he's on the wrong side of 30. Well, I don't know. Tyler Lockett, is he on the wrong side of 30? Not sure if he is. Double check his numbers real quick. He definitely had a dip in production this past year. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a dip. A huge dip actually from 2 years ago. Yeah, he's on. Tyler Lockett's definitely on the wrong side of 30. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate to say, even though he's only 33 years old, he was a consistent 1,000-yard receiver from the years 2019 to 2022. And as of recent 2023, 2024, had a dip in production with his receiving yards. He was honestly getting the insane to think. I mean, 1,000 yards he was getting. He was doing it in one less game. He now is playing the full 17 games, and his production has definitely seen a huge drop. I mean, dropping, let's see here. He had 74 targets this year. 74 targets this year, only bringing in 49 catches. Should have had my calculator out so we can do some quick maths. I'm most certain I'm doing this math incorrectly. Only bringing in 66.2% of the catches that you're receiving here. So definitely a huge drop in his actual stats itself. The year prior, still received a lot more targets. He improved as far as his actual receptions percentage, because last year he was only bringing in 64.7% of the targets he was receiving. But more than anything, if I'm looking at a receiver, I'm wanting a receiver who can at least bring in at least have a 50 to at least a 75 to 80% catch rate, like to be able to actually bring in the catches each and every year. So Tyler Lockett receiving the $30 million he is currently receiving, I don't know. He's on his last year of his contract, so yeah. And it was even a renegotiation on his actual contract itself. So I don't know if they've recently renegotiated his contract once again, or if they're going to look at renegotiating once again. But more than anything, I would honestly look at further renegotiation to save this team a lot more money. Because, I mean, his production has gone down. I see him being more worth, even less than that 18 that he was receiving last year. Maybe getting closer towards 15, anywhere from 10 and a half to 15. So that's where I kind of stand with Tyler Lockett. He's a serviceable receiver. Unfortunately, not in his prime any further. So that's one of those guys I believe that they need to move on, either look at moving on from the season or look at renegotiating his overall contract. Moving on to Buffalo. Buffalo's in a similar, rougher situation. Currently 30th overall as far as their cap situation. $12 million currently over the cap space right now. They were a great team. Again, emphasis on were. A lot of their guys, they're on their void contract years. Rasul Douglas going from Green Bay to Buffalo. He was finishing off that little contract that he had from Green Bay. Buffalo picked up payments in 23, cost him $864 the year prior, and then this past year cost him 3.3. Unfortunately, Rasul Douglas is definitely going to be a guy that I'm looking at letting him walk, because more than anything, he's costing you more than he is really helping you with. I know I mentioned it yesterday, and I will continue to mention it. Mike fucking White as a backup quarterback making 1.195. It's a rougher thing to even contemplate. Honestly, more than anything, with Mike White, I'm letting him walk this year before free agency comes up. Save yourself that 1.195. Save yourself that money. Clears up some space to where that can come down. One other contract that is definitely weighing them down tremendously is that Von Miller, the Von Miller contract. Von Miller this past year, again, I'm going to have to Google it real quick, or Bing, because apparently Bing's the number one thing that's on my frickin' I don't care about his girlfriend. Who the hell cares? But Bing's apparently on my thing. I don't give a shit. Anyway, Von Miller coming into Buffalo, he definitely was touted as one of the guys that was going to help Buffalo get to the Super Bowl more than anything. He hasn't played any more than 13 games this past season, but still, he's not healthy enough to stay out there for an extended period of time. But Denver getting rid of him in 2021 was definitely the best move that they needed to make. The Rams letting him walk after one season. Buffalo getting him in 22. It's not worth it, honestly, having him around as long as he is. He's a defensive end more than anything. 22, only recorded only 8. Didn't record any sacks in 23. Recorded 6 this past year. He has definitely fallen off from the times where he was getting double-digit sacks. Unfortunately, Von Miller is one of those contracts that you think it's immovable, but again, there is always renegotiation. Von Miller should be that one contract that you need to look at renegotiating. Need to look at his renegotiations here. I'm not sure if they're looking at cutting him, if they're looking at keeping him. It says free agent here, which most likely just means free agent deal. He's still under contract with Buffalo. I'm honestly looking at renegotiation. Save yourself at least $13 million a year. Get him back down to at least $10 million a year at this point. Because if you're gonna have a guy who's not getting, who's a defensive end, who's not at least getting you, 10 sacks a game, 10 sacks a year, that's not who you want to have on your team. Especially for a guy costing you $20 to $30 million a year. It's not the best dude to keep around. Who else? Actually, really, that's the only thing I have. I mean, Buffalo renegotiates that contract, saves them a little bit of money. A lot of the bigger ones, as far as what's going to cost them the most, and that dead cap money is definitely that Tre'Davious White contract. $4.1 million, weighing him down from that dead cap, so that's going to be a huge hit on them as well. Atlanta, moving on to Atlanta, currently 28th overall as far as available cap space. Currently 8.6 million over the cap limit. I know I mentioned it yesterday. I will continue to mention it. Is Benny Sapp really 44 years old? Is he still on the team? There is no way Benny Sapp's 44 years old. There is no damn way. There is no damn way that Benny Sapp is 44. Holy shit, Benny Sapp is 44 years old. Holy fucking shit. Wait, it says he played his entire... Did Benny Sapp for some reason come out of retirement to... Okay. I don't know if he came out of retirement. I don't know what the hell happened. If... I'm dumbfounded by this shit. I'm completely caught off guard. You have a guy on your roster out in Atlanta who is 44 years old. You're paying him $960,000. I I don't have words. Honestly, I don't. I have no words. Hold on. When was the last time this guy actually put on pads? I'm dumbfounded by this. It says he has 8 years of experience, but I mean, there's no real there's no set. Wait, are they Okay, this might be a mistake. Because it's saying he's... Okay, this is a mistake on this actual thing. This thing says that Benny Sapp's 44 years old. The actual Benny Sapp is only 24 years old. I apologize. Most likely y'all are sitting there thinking, holy shit, this guy's losing his mind. I'm corrected. I had to pull it up. I was super freaking confused. Only 24 years old. I will cut. Okay. Whew. Let me calm down a little bit. Let me calm down a little bit, because that I was caught off guard there for a brief moment. Anywho, so Benny Sapp the third. Let me specify that Benny Sapp the third. I'm still surprised it's not updated on there. Anyway, Benny Sapp the third's currently on the 1-year contract, $960,000. Played in 5 games, really didn't do anything. We'll have to see. We'll have to see with Benny Sapp. He might just be on that loan contract just to see what he can do. Justin Simmons, Jesus Christ. Sorry, I had to take a moment there because, I mean, just mentally I see 44. I'm like, wait a minute, hold the phone. But I stand corrected, 24 years old. I stand corrected. Anywho, moving on from me almost losing my mind over that Benny Sapp thing. Phil Dorsett, I think he's more... Phil Dorsett's definitely more of a return guy. So... I don't know. I'm not sure if I justify spending 1.25 on a return guy if he is just a return man. If he's more than the return man, if he's over here as their number one receiver or even like their number 6 receiver, I don't justify spending the 1.255. I mean, other than that, there's not a whole lot else to really look at. No, Ray McLeod's their return man. That's right. I was looking at that yesterday. I mean, Ray McLeod. I did mention it yesterday. I will still say it again. If you have a guy there specifically just for returning punts and kicks, I do not justify spending the $4 million that they're currently spending on him right now. I'm seeing Jesse Bates again. I'm getting sad. Who else? But yeah, I mean, that's really all. I mean, I know I've mentioned it before. Kirk Cousins is going to most likely back up there. If he is going to be their backup quarterback, if they're going to keep him there just to help with teaching Penix and helping Penix understand the offense, I do not justify giving him $40 million, this year. Don't even justify giving him, the 57.5 the next 2 years. Honestly, if I'm Atlanta, I'm looking at a contract restructure with him. That's just me. I would look at a contract restructure, say, hey, Kirk, you're costing us far too much more than we were anticipating. We're already over cap. We need to look at something different here, and then give him a number, because he was. So I mean, there was a potential out. There is a potential out after 2 years. He makes $100 million. They get dead cap of $35 million. So I don't know. But I definitely still stand on. I still stand on what I have said prior, and I will still continue to stand on this hill. Kirk Cousins needs to have a contract restructure. He's not getting any younger. He didn't have the same production he had out in Minnesota. So yeah, I'm looking at a contract restructure for Kirk. All right. Miami, the next wonderful topic. 27th in overall cap, currently over $7 million of that available cap space. Again, they're one of the more younger teams in the entire league right now. The first one I will definitely be beating the desk for is getting rid of Odell's freaking contract. Odell is on a void year. I do not even contemplate wanting to look at re-signing him. Odell is injury prone, past his prime. Let him think about retirement this next year. Jalen Ramsey. That's another one I would want to look at restructuring too. I mean, he's, currently costing the team, $16 million this year, and over the next 3 years, he's looking at costing the team 25 million to $25 million in 26, $26.8 million in 27, and then $36.1 million in 28. That's one of those contracts I'm wanting to sit down with Jalen Ramsey and say, hey, listen, you're not cutting it out for the team. Numbers aren't the best. Let me just verify, because I don't want to be looked at like an idiot. Jalen Ramsey. Stats. Go to ESPN. Okay. Jalen Ramsey, 39 tackles this entire year, 2 interceptions, 11 pass deflections. Looking at his overall numbers, this is the first year with Miami he's actually played all 17 games. Was injured last year, so missed 7 of them games. 60 overall tackles this year, with 1 sack, 2 interceptions, which is pretty serviceable for pretty serviceable for him. But yeah, definitely, I don't know. I mean, Jalen Ramsey definitely does deserve that. Does deserve a contract with the Dolphins. Just as far as justify giving him $16.6 million, though, I'm kind of on the fence about that right there. See who else I think. There's unfortunately a lot of younger guys that you might want to look at here for, let them walk this offseason. I mean, Hayden Rucci, or Rusi, however you pronounce it. Devon A-Chain, that's another one. I was thinking about that. A-Chain's a great player, a great running back, don't get me wrong. He's on his last 2 years of his rookie contract. A-Chain, more than anything, they got a couple of directions they can go. Cut him, whether it be this year or next, or look at trading him this year or next. He just can't. I mean, it's his second. Well, technically third now I think about it. Anywho, it is what it is. Who else? Actually, here, so these are the ones that are really hurting them the absolute 100% most. The Shaq Barrett contract, 4.43. Mustard's only costing him $1 million, so I mean that's not terrible. Xavier Howard's contract's hurting them the absolute most as far as dead cap money. He's currently costing him $15.6 million. So definitely that Xavier Howard contract. My apologies. I had to sit up there for a minute because I was getting a little bit lazy there. But definitely Xavier Howard's contract's hurting them the absolute most as far as dead cap money. So unfortunately, with those, you can't renegotiate. So yeah. And then, of course, you got to also think about they're going to have all the extra cap hits when it comes to their actual draft pool. They're currently drafting 13th. Draft picks within the first 15 typically are demanding at least 3.5. And then, of course, second rounders, at least 1.5, so on, so forth, all the way down the line. So that definitely going to cost them a little bit there. But those are just a few ideas. Oh, goodness. Of course, here I am yawning. Anyway, moving on to Dallas. I know this was another team I pounded on the desk for. I'm not a Dallas fan. I do not claim to be a Dallas fan. I have family and friends who happen to be Dallas fans. Look at that contract. Look at that contract. Look at the numbers over the past year. Over the past years. Do you justify giving Dak Prescott that contract? My answer is no. So, looking at the numbers. I love how it asks about merchandise right away. Anyway, his entire time with Dallas, been fairly inconsistent. First year, 3,600 coming off the bench to start in place of Tony Romo that year in 2016. Fairly consistent starter. 2020 happens. He goes down with the injury. Only played in 5 games. 21, he comes back, has a 4,000-yard year. 22, goes down with injury again, only musters 2,800 yards. 23, has a resurgence, 4,500 yards. And then this year happened. 8 games, 1,900 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Of course, the worst out of all the years was his 2020 campaign, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I, for one, am one of the many that are pounding the desk, screaming it from the rooftops, renegotiate his contract. Those numbers that I look at right here from this year, looking at the results that he has had ever since being the quarterback since 2016, he hasn't taken the team to different levels. He hasn't improved the team. He hasn't proven that he will improve and will be able to be the biggest improvement on the damn team. Get him out. Get him out. Actually, no, not get him out. You can go and keep him as a starter for right now until you have a better option when it comes to quarterback overall. But more than anything, he's going to be costing you the most amount of money on that roster until his contract is ended when the free agency comes up in 2029. It's 4 years from now. He's costing you almost $90 million this year. He's going to cost you almost $70 million the following year. He's going to cost you $61 million on 3 years from now. And then 4 years from now is going to cost you almost $72 million. This is a huge if Dak Prescott doesn't play a full season this year, if he doesn't, I do not justify the $89 million. I don't justify keeping him at the $60 million the next few years. I'm justifying one thing and one thing only, and that is contract renegotiation. Again, more than anything, I mean, the base 60 million definitely would be where I would keep him at. Listen, sure you give him $50 million a year, only giving him $10 million in incentives. That huge signing probation that he got, or proration. My apologies. So his signing bonus. His signing bonus got prorated throughout the next 4 or 5 years, costing this team far too much damn money. I mean, D. Lawrence is a dead cap for them. Same with Brandon Cooks. Let me see. Let's go look at kind of who's impacting the worst. Oh, look at that, Dak Prescott. Yeah, there's nothing else nothing else I can really bring up other than Dak Prescott's terrible contract. You renegotiate Dak's contract, and you're looking at a little bit more money to play with this offseason, and a little bit more money to again improve the team and make the team overall better. Tampa Bay is a very, very young team, very, very young. 33 is their oldest overall player. Most amount of money that they're utilizing right now, as far as their cap hit, is on Baker Mayfield. Give me a brief moment here. Sorry, that I got a buzz. No, of course. Go to put my phone down and I get another buzz. Anywho, Baker Mayfield costing the most amount of money. Now, with Tampa Bay, they're not in terrible cap hell. I mean, 23rd overall as far as available cap space. Only having 5.6 to work with here in the offseason. It's going to be difficult, but I believe that they'll be able to get through it. More than anything, if you want to clear up some cap space there, you're going to look at some guys that you want to have them walk in the off season, or look at possibly trading him out of there. Jordan Whitehead, I haven't really looked at his numbers, so that's the best part. We'll look at it. We'll look at these numbers together. That's one of the things I hate about Bing, by the way. Whenever you go and pull anything up, it'll give you recommended things to look up. No, thank you. Anyway, Jordan Whitehead, 49 solo tackles as a safety, 3 pass deflections. Get the full breakdown. Played in 12 games this year. He had left Tampa Bay for the Jets and then came back. Okay. Let's see here. 79 total tackles this season. No interceptions. As a safety, I mean, that's not terrible numbers by any means. Those are decent numbers. Again, I say the word decent, but it's not the best overall. Not the best numbers. He's currently costing them $4.5 million this year. It begs to question: are they going to keep him this offseason or not? That could be one of those guys that saves them the $4.5 million, gives them a little bit more money to play with in the offseason, and helps them overall. Chris Godwin, I think. Yeah, he's on a. Oh, he's he's a free agent this year, unrestricted free agent this year. Still a lot of dead cap for them. I mean, costing them $18 million this year. It's rough to see. Again, it begs to question: are they going to replace that franchise tag on him and have him play on the franchise tag, or are they going to let him walk? So huge question marks there when it comes to Chris Godwin. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of other. Okay, so this is really where it's hurting him the most. The dead cap money is really where it's hurting him the most. Shaq Barrett's freaking $17.4 million is hurting them the most. Ryan Jensen, I think he retired. That's why he's still getting that guaranteed money coming out too. Let me just look at him. Is this the last year? Okay, well then I can't look at him. Never mind. Could be the last year that they're having to pay him. I'm not 100% certain. But, yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, I think I'll leave it there with Tampa Bay. Won't beat them up too much. I think I'll probably just kind of skip around. Because, I mean, a lot of the teams I really don't want to touch. A lot of them I don't. I mean, Houston, not really. Kansas City, definitely not. Fuck the Chiefs. Jets, not at all. Baltimore, not at all. Carolina, I might touch on. Well, yeah, let's touch on Carolina. Let's take a look. 20th overall as far as cap space. $22.4 million in available cap. Andy Dalton's their worst overall contract oldest player on the team right now that is up for contract, currently costing him $2.9 million. Oh, Taylor Monten's freaking contract. Jesus Christ. 2-year contract. He's on his last year of that 2-year contract, currently costing the team $31 million this year. I don't know. I'm not huge on Taylor Martin. I haven't really. That's the unfortunate thing. There's not a whole lot to really track as far as offensive linemen, other than them getting pancakes. But that's, I mean, neither here nor there. Davion Clowney. Yeah, he's on his 2-year contract. Last year of his 2-year contract. Is there a way to? Okay, there is a way to search. All right, Davion Clowney. Let's take a look here. 24 tackles, 5.5 sacks. That's not terrible for a defensive end. Or, shoot, he's a linebacker primarily. Looking at his numbers from last year, I mean, he unfortunately didn't play all 17 games because of injury, so I'm not shocked by it. See here. 5.5 sacks down from the 9.5 that he got in 23. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to really say about Jadavion. I mean, as far as a linebacker, he's absolutely awful. Because I mean, no pass deflections, no forced fumbles, no interceptions. He had 4 pass deflections. My apologies. But I mean, no interceptions as far as a linebacker is kind of rough. But at the same time, he makes up for it for being being on the edge. So I don't know. Could go a couple ways. If I'm Carolina, just to help save a little bit more, I'm not letting Jadeveon Clowney, keep on his current contract. I'm cutting him as soon as possible to save yourself a little bit more money to be able to go and, to be able to go and save yourself a decent amount and be able to get a little bit more available cap space. Man, other than that, I mean, their worst hit is Jonathan Mingo, costing him 1.72. But either way, I mean, they're not in terrible cap hell, not like Cleveland or not like New Orleans. Just kind of skipping around. I'm not going to harp on this too much longer because, I mean, more re-exploring. I know I said I'm going to be doing each and every team, but I feel like each and every team that I discussed yesterday, I kind of hit basics with a whole lot of other teams. So, let's skip over to Cincinnati because I know I was talking about this yesterday. I know I got very heated. I'm going to keep getting heated because this situation is fucking awful. 12th overall cap space, almost $50 million available cap space currently. Jamar Chase is on his last year of his rookie deal. They picked up his 5th-year option, so he's making $21.8 million. He's wanting more money. He absolutely deserves more money because of his overall greatness. He's honestly better overall receiver than guys like he's a better overall receiver than the guy out in Minnesota. What's his name? He's a better receiver than the guy out in Minnesota. Honestly, that's all I have to say. Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase is a better overall receiver. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a biased Bengals fan, but I'm being fully honest. Because without Jamar Chase, we were a terrible franchise. With Jamar Chase and that Joe Burrow connection, we want to go into the Super Bowl. We want to getting back to the conference championship. Without Jamar Chase, this team would be in a lot worse situation. one contract in particular that I'm also interested in them looking at. Trey Hendrickson, he's on his last year of his extension that he received. He deserves an additional extension, especially with how he performed this past year. Trey Hendrickson needs to get another contract extension without a doubt in my mind. Sam Hubbard, he's a Cincinnati kid. Last year of his contract. Let him walk. Let him walk. Sam Hubbard this past year did not have good enough numbers. Didn't have good enough to where you're going to justify keeping him around for the long term. Sam Hubbard's one of the guys that they need to look at allowing him to walk, honestly. There's no real huge hits as far as, there's no real huge hits as far as what's going to be hurting us, honestly. It's just more about, looking at who's going to help us become a team that will be able to get back into the playoffs. Trey Hendrickson and Jamar Chase definitely are the ones that we need to discuss. And more than anything, bigger one that we're talking about, of course, is T. Higgins. You get T. Higgins that contract that he deserves. You get Trey Hendrickson the contract he deserves. You get Jamar Chase the contract he deserves. And maybe get all the way down to like $9 million left over. You spend that $40 of that $49 million you have in available cap space, and you give these guys what they're fucking due. Moving on from Cincinnati. I'm just going to touch on the last team, the absolute last team that I went into somewhat depth on. Again, I only went somewhat into it. I didn't go fully, full down breakdown, blah, blah, blah. Hunter Henry currently making $10.5 million this year. I don't understand that. Hunter Henry is maybe the third or fourth best. Hunter Henry is definitely more of a second or third string tight end. He's not a starting tight end. He's not good enough to be a starting tight end. While you're paying him like he's a starting tight end, I don't understand, but that is New England for you. Honestly, as far as their cap situation isn't that bad. And actually, now that I'm saying that, I want to correct myself. They have the best overall cap situation right now. They've barely allocated any money, as far as barely paying anybody on their team right now. The available space you have at $123 million, you're making all of the movements to improve your team more than anything. There's a lot of guys that they need on that team that will improve that team, especially at the quarterback position. I believe you bring in a veteran quarterback that can help Drake May develop his game to make Drake May more of a complete quarterback. Definitely looking as well as far as other wide receiver assistants other than Kendrick Bourne. You look at other receivers, and you'll be able to kind of justify what and where and who and why. Again, I really won't be discussing a lot of their contracts. The only things that are really weighing them down right now is the Juju Smith-Schuster contract and the Matt Judon contract. But other than that, there's a lot of moves that New England needs to make, and by a lot, I mean a lot, to be able to even sniff being successful. But that's where we're at. So I went over a few of the teams. I'm sorry I didn't go fully in depth. Yesterday's video was over 2 hours. So I didn't want to go and bore every single one of y'all with just numbers and facts and blah, 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 blah. But that's where we are currently at as far as the cap situation. I definitely wanted to cover all the, majority of the teams that were over the cap. But, I mean, honestly, with Houston, I got bored with it. Honestly, I'm just Houston, Kansas City. I didn't even want to touch them. If they're over the cap, who gives a fuck? I don't care. Houston, Kansas City. Kansas City can win. Kansas City can honestly win because of the reps on their payroll. I'm surprised they're currently not over the cap. Completely surprised they're not over the cap right now. But that is what it is. That's probably where a lot of their money is going to. A lot of the money that they have as far as available cap space. Most likely, you might as well just put refs right there, right above Patrick Mahomes, and put $5.381 million on it. But that's neither here nor there. For those of you who happen to be watching this on YouTube, if you enjoy the content and enjoy seeing me crash out talking about NFL contracts, or even, again, since we're looking at baseball season here coming fairly soon, I will definitely be talking more baseball here. I'm so happy that the NFL is in their off season, so that way I can focus more on baseball. NBA is definitely still in there. Just got to their All-Star break as well. That will be coming up here in a future video later down the line. Probably next Saturday. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I appreciate everybody for coming out, listening to me rant, listening to me, throw an old guy fit. But I appreciate everybody who came out. I will see you all in the next one.